Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today I have a Transformers Generations Combiner Wars review for you. This is Hotspot. He is the fifth of the Protectobots that I am reviewing, and he is the core, middle body section and also the leader of the group. So we will take a look. As you can see, he is kind of a sky blue, light blue, whatever you want to say, fire engine, which is not a combination you usually see. But these were his G1 colors, so I appreciate that they stuck with that. Nice picture of Defensor on the side here. Nothing going on here. On the back, you can see he is the core. Here is the alt mode of the fire engine. I'll try to get in close and you can take a look at his bio. There we go. And then you have it in several other languages. If you speak those languages, have fun. I unfortunately do not. But yeah, so I mean that's the packaging, not really too much special going on the top or bottom. So we will go ahead, get him out of the packaging, and take a closer look. Alright, so out of the package, I think Hotspot looks great. I love his overall color scheme. I really like the light blue and the red and the black with a little bit of silver for accent. I just think it looks really good. He does have this giant thing on his back, which has to do with mostly parts for, Defensor and also, the ladder for the fire truck. It doesn't really get in the way. It certainly doesn't hinder any of his shoulder movement or leg movement or anything. If anything, it kind of works as a nice third leg to keep him upright. It doesn't really get in the way other than that. He does come with these two weapons. They are just kind of little blasters here. As you can see, I believe they are identical, just mirror imaged. They can go together by literally just plugging one into the barrel of the other one. I have to say this doesn't really impress me all that much, because it's very obvious that it's just one gun plugged into the back of a second gun. I would have much rather had it if they could combine together this way. Kind of like a Gundam Wing Zero or something, or Gundam Wing. How their two cannons kind of went together to make a giant double-barreled blaster. I think that would have been much cooler. But yeah, so as it is, you can do that if you want. Or you can just have him use one in each hand, which I think looks the best. Go ahead and pop these back in. I think that looks pretty neat. As far as articulation goes, he's got a lot. The head, of course, is on a ball joint. Mostly side to side, but you can get a little bit of up and down movement there. He's got a tight ratchet here in the shoulder. Then he's got another ratchet, well, not really a ratchet, I guess a swivel here, kind of where the arm meets the shoulder. Then he's got a swivel right here, kind of like an upper elbow, like right at the bicep, but instead of a swivel, it's an up and down. And then he's got an elbow joint right there. The hands are completely molded in, so there's no movement there. But I mean, since you have this swivel, or I should say this joint and this joint, you don't really need it. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm sorry, there's also a swivel here, right above the elbow. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all here in the arm/shoulder. I think that's plenty. I think you can get whatever kind of poses out of them that you'd like. No waist articulation, because that's a solid piece, but you have ratchet pretty tight in the hip, both in and out and front to back. Then you have a thigh swivel. You have a knee joint here, but then you also have kind of a second knee joint down in here, which I know that's probably hard to see. But you can see here's the normal knee joint, and then there's like another joint there. And that has mostly to do with when you're transforming him into Defensor, so we'll get to that. But overall, I think he's got as much articulation as you'd need. He's fantastic as far as articulation goes. I really like the look of him, and I really like this robot mode a lot. I guess the ankle, there's really no foot or ankle articulation. I forgot to mention that, but this is just the kind of cab of the fire engine. Thank you. Hello, that's the word. So that's just really the ankle, and that just pops back against the foot. It doesn't really move. There's not really any articulation there. But I think the robot mode looks really fantastic. I don't even mind the thing hanging on his back because it really doesn't get in the way. But now we'll go ahead and we'll move on to the transformation into the fire truck. Alright, so I'm go ahead and taking his guns out of his hands just to make this easier. The first thing I like to do is you can just open up the chest panel, rotate the head inside, very simple, close that back up. You can bring the hands up, and you can see there's a little tab right here that's going to peg right into there. You just bring it up, and then you can see the wheels are on the same level now. Just like that, very simple. Come around down here to the legs. You can kind of lift this piece off and just kind of hang it off the back just to get it out of your way. You're going to fold these in so that the wheels are facing out. Then you're going to fold these in on themselves, and if you see here, let me get a little closer, there's a little tab right here on the thigh, and that's going to go into this little spot right there. So you just rock these in, and then you can see the tab just lines up with that little slot, and then they just click flush. Very simple. I didn't realize that tab was there at first the first time, and it wasn't going in right, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized, oh, there's a little tab. And then once you get the tab lined up, it just clicks in so easily. Alright, so now for this giant thing on the back, it seems complicated, but it's not that bad. You're going to start by unfolding these big flaps, and then you're going to kind of pull this out, and then you're going to see there's a big hinge right here. And you're going to fold that like this. So you fold it there, then you're going to rotate this whole thing 180 degrees, like that, and then you're going to close these back up. And then you're going to push this down, and if you can see, it's probably very hard to see, but right here, there's a little spot for a tab, and that's on both sides, right there, right above where my thumbnail is. And you can see these tabs right here are going to pop into that as we close this up. And you'll hear it snap in. And then you just push all this together, and that makes the back of the fire engine mode. You're pretty much done. You're going to just rotate this up a little bit to get it out of your way. Turn these, and you'll see here there's little tabs right there and right there, and they're going to fit into kind of the crotch area here. So as you turn this around, that's going to go there. Ooh, just be careful with that. I don't want to snap off these tabs. I always feel like I'm going to do that. But I'm just unnecessarily cautious. If you want, you can kind of bring it down and push it together. Am I doing something wrong? Because it's not wanting to go together. There we go. There we go. Sorry. Okay, just wasn't clicked all the way in. Then you're just going to take this part here, very simple. Rotate that down, and that's just going to clip right on the end. Then you can put this back down. And there we have the fire engine mode. It's not the best fire engine mode ever for a Transformer, but considering it also needs to be the chest of a combiner, I think they did a pretty decent job with it. I like the detail here on the side, the fire rescue. I think that's pretty cool. Nice little logo there. Autobot symbol on fire. It says fire rescue. That is on both sides, as you can see. Overall, I think it works. And considering they're going to take this mold and make this onslaught, I can, if they were planning that ahead of time when they did this, I can see, because you kind of have the cab with the flat bed, and then instead of this fire, hose, ladder situation thing you got going on here, they will just put some kind of like cannons or something that starts back here. So I can see how if they were planning ahead, they definitely did a good job making a mold that can easily be both things with just a little bit of retooling. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool little fire engine. If you want, you can put the guns on the back here on both sides. You can put it there. You can put it down here. You could even put them up here if you like. I knew there was another spot. So yeah, there's lots of cool places you can put the guns. You can play around with it wherever you like to store them. I kind of like to store them back here. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at transforming him into the core of Defensor. You're going to want to make sure the arms are straight and then just fold them up just like this. There's a little tab here and a peg hole, which will go with this hole and this tab. And it's a little easier said than done. I don't know why I have so much trouble with it. You just have to make sure the arm is straight and in the right position. There we go. Okay, so once those are both like that, you're going to come and pretty much transform the legs the exact same way you transformed them for the truck mode, making sure, rotate this out of the way, making sure that tab goes in the slot just like it's supposed to. So there we go. And you're going to kind of leave these open just for a second because you'll come back to it later. Open up the chest plate, push the head in, close. Actually, you're going to want to leave that down just like that. Then you're going to take this whole giant thing and you're going to want to open this part. And then you're going to rotate this whole thing 180 degrees. And then you're going to rotate it down. You want to kind of lift this out of the way. This little clip here will fit into like this slot here. So you just want to make sure you push that all the way in so that it clicks. And then you'll see there's a tab here on both sides. And that's going to clip into these spots right there. So you'll see that'll just peg right there and right there. Mine doesn't always stay 100%, but it will as you transform it more. Now again, this hinge here, you're going to bring this down, straighten this all the way out. That's going to collapse like this. The reason I had you leave the legs open was this is going to go underneath his crotch and kind of loosely peg in there. And then it'll bend again, just like that. And then you'll see there are two black tabs right here and here. They're going to tab in right here and here. So you just drop this whole part. So that's going to flip on like that. And then you just kind of want to, if these come undone, just push them back in. And then you're going to want to close this tight once that's all snapped into place. So you can see that there. This, you're just going to fold these down like that. You're going to flip this part back on top like that, and then rotate the head around. And then you will see the face of Defensor, which I think looks really fantastic. I think they absolutely nailed the head sculpt here on Defensor. He's even got the kind of aviator sunglass eyes like he did in G1, which I think is a really nice touch. The other thing you're going to want to do is just flip these down on both sides, because that's where you're going to plug the hands in, or the arms rather. So there you go. You have Defensor's core all ready to go, so let's get him some arms and legs. Alright, so here we have Defensor. I think he looks really fantastic. I really like the look of him a lot. I kind of went with a kind of classic G1 configuration of making blades and first aid the arms. And then I put Rook down here because that's where Groove would normally go. Obviously, any of the limbs can be any limb you want. You know, you can make the two legs arms, switch them all around, however you see fit. I did attach Groove to the front just to show you how it works. Basically, and I'll take it off. But there's a little peg right here, which pegs into the little peg hole here. And then the circle pegs on the side of Groove's arms peg into little holes right here and here. So that's how he connects on there. I think Groove as a chest plate is a bit of a mess. I like him just as a little legend figure, and I think Defensor looks a lot better with him not attached. That's just my own personal preference. The only complaint I have about Defensor is because of the arms being so heavy, he tends to pitch a little bit forward, like his back's starting to give him trouble. And I don't really know any way to combat that. Because of this plate right here, I can't really click it back any farther. He doesn't really have any articulation in that way to back click. You know what I mean? Like, because this is like one solid wall here. You can try to kind of click the arm a little back, and that kind of puts a little bit of the weight farther back. But either way, I think he looks really fantastic. I love the head sculpt. I think they absolutely nailed that. The chest plate looks good. I love the way that they used the uh, ladder part to go underneath and around so that he has a flat back instead of having some massive thing hang off the back of him. I think that's really well done. I've always liked the Protectobots. I've always loved to look at Defensor, and I think they did him justice. I really think he looks really good. So I have to say, I really enjoyed this figure. I think they did Hotspot justice, and I really like the look of Defensor. I think they did a great job on that. I like all the Protectobots in general. I mean, they reused a lot of molds. Hotspot and Rook are the only two new molds with this team, but they did great jobs, and I really like the look of Defensor. I like the individual Protectobots. As far as Hotspot goes, I think his robot mode is definitely stronger than his vehicle mode. But there's nothing necessarily wrong with his vehicle mode. It's just not the best fire truck I've ever seen. But it's perfectly fine. There's not a huge amount wrong with it. It's just your preference as far as aesthetics of a fire truck goes. But I mean, it has a ladder, you know, it has wheels, it rolls. It's a fire truck for all intents and purposes. So I think they did a great job with this figure. I love the robot mode and I love Defensor. Those are my two favorite modes. Again, the fire truck's the weakest, but it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. I'll be very interested to see how they change it into Onslaught. I know pictures have kind of surfaced, but when I get it in hand and actually get to take a really good look at it, I'll be interested to see. I think that vehicle mode will translate well to be kind of a flatbed truck with a cannon on the back. So just really you're swapping out the ladder part for a cannon. So we'll see what they do. But I definitely like this figure. I highly recommend it if you have all the Protectobots, or if you're tracking down the Protectobots and you're forming Defensor. I highly recommend it because I think they did a great job. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like and share this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Hotspot and Defensor from Transformers Generations Combiner Wars, and thanks for watching.